Welcome to Poetry Corner. Tonight we enter the world of the performance poet on Make It Heard. We've got several local poets who would like to introduce themselves and their work.
My name is Lisa Worth and I'm an actor, a singer and a writer. I must admit I've never considered myself to be a poet. In fact, these are the first poems that I've written literally since leaving school. Many decades ago. Anyway, the first one was written about the first lockdown, really, between sort of middle March till June. I live in the middle of Liverpool city centre in a flat. And of course, during that period of time, I was only allowed an hour out a day to exercise. So the poem is about the absolute value of that hour a day, but also the amusing sight of so many people in lycra and shorts and on bikes and running, and it was fascinating, and it was also very entertaining, and probably in some respects got me through. So that's what poem number one is about. New Pumps is the name. And the second one, well, essentially it's about a reinvention of yourself, a rebirth, surviving trauma, feeling that perhaps that trauma is going to extinguish the light within you forever and a day, and how one day you start to see a little bit of that light again. And it's set at the beach, really, because I love water. I love being around a large body of water, whether it's a huge river or whether it's the beach, whether it's the sea, in all weathers, in all countries, really. And it's there that personally I feel many of my layers are literally and metaphorically removed. It's perhaps where I am most honest with myself and have the best clarity of mind. And so hence why poem number two was located there. So I hope you enjoy them, and thank you for listening. New Pumps. Steel grey March, elbowed out by honeyed sun that's ushered in that uninvited guest. My daily stroll reduced to a dash any other week, when rest is a luxury between meetings and rehearsals and hustling and networking, and that stroll, the gift you don't want to open because then it's gone. An ephemeral moment of freedom to cling to help me hang on to my sanity in the new #era of social distancing. Breathing deeply, nose to the sky, greedy for that air, drinking in that air, both tarnished, toxic, and yet as sweet as treacle, for a nano not a care in an otherwise careworn world that's weeping at every corner. But there's sport to be had as I watch the zoom of pro runners cross my eye line, sinews bulging, pace light and regular as a metronome, no gloom time for them, instead focus tattooed on their foreheads. Then puff, they're gone into their private lairs of emails and corporate rules, zooming still, but in virtual land now, surrounded by jewels bought with high-flying jobs, grounded by low-flying germs. What's that? The sound of new pumps bringing up the rear. A stream of Benny Beach shorts and super dry tees, cans on their head for piped sounds to distract from knees that shake like Bambi's and stagger like a Matthew Street drunk. The heavy hammering of pavements punched through my mental musings. Wheezing and huffing, rasping and blowing, sounding like Puffin Billy as they lurch by, coughing and spluttering. But not 'cause of that corona, more likely the fags, the late night kebabs and Stella with the all-you-can-eat and the 2-for-1 at the Bella Italia on Ranelagh Street and the Ben and Jerry's and the midweek Dominoes. Our gritty city, you'll never walk alone and we shall overcome bad times and good times too. Queen Mersey has been my backyard. I followed you with your twists and your turns as you nod towards Otter's Pool. But never have so many pounded your cobbled paths. Not even in a blistering British summer have I seen so many lycra-wrapped bodies. And now, are we a city of runners? Bloody hell, these are weird times indeed. I head for home now, feeling kind of weary. What next? Netflix? Skype? This lifestyle doesn't suit me or the other uninvited guest. Those lumps of gristle round me middle. Maybe I should get some new pumps. A day at the beach. Those early days were heady. Before long, lust turned to love, and soon we were ready to search for that first home together. And the energy was high, and the passion crashed, endless waves of limerence against granite rocks, as we basted in the glow of July hot sun, unabashed by the sideways glances of the less lucky in love. But delirium seeped away with the tide, and detritus washed up with the waves, and the ride of our lives began to ebb and flow. Dirty pants discarded, too busy to talk, solo sleeping at another cold supper as another voicemail announces another late meeting. I watched you walk deeper into murky water. Grecian sun was replaced by North Sea chill, and I pulled up the collar of my heavy knit, hoping still to keep in some warmth. But the dirty grey waters dragged to shore delicate lace too small for my middle-aged arse, tangled with receipts for luxury trips, not planned with me in mind, and nor were the cocktails at the West End bar. And now, shipping news warns of a force 9 storm, headed my way, where the life that I live will be shredded like a balsa wood boat. And the spirit of the mermaid on the sand-white beach, now closer to Orpheus and his misery, drowns in depths of a fate unchosen, a broken soul, impossible to reach, smashed like a wreck against the rocks. I sing sugar sand that shifts to protect brittle bones, now a frenzied blizzard of sharded glass. Am I to atone for the sin of another? Skin, red raw and blind, but for the tears. No more the dewy-eyed lover, believing in endless possibilities. Now, just living with fears of being lost forever. But greedy storms devour too much energy and weaken to brisk wind and then a breeze. No challenge for the synergy of my mind and heart that drag me back to a place of calm, where I can find safe moorings again, where I can gather my scattered driftwood and refashion into form better suited, ready to sustain hope buried beneath the hard-baked sand. Slowly rising, a new sun appears, timid, not a dazzling show, but pale light above a hazy horizon of gentler waters, a glow that nourishes and warms, no pretence of endless days to bask in, but no need to protect against blistered skin either. And this sun, this day, this might just show me how to begin this new journey, looking straight into the light.
Hello, my name is Maya. Originally I'm from Latvia, but for nearly 20 years I live in UK. As I say, in sunny Lancashire, okay, sunshine in the heart. I presume I'm a storyteller first. I have more of dance background, but I like telling stories. I like to perform with spoken word. And also last year I started to write poetry, so I hope you will enjoy my 3 little poems, and I hope more will come. Thank you very much for listening. Bye. You don't know me, and I don't know you. For now. Doesn't matter really. So I would like to tell you a story. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope it will make you feel something. I hope it will make you think. I'm not saying you don't feel or don't think. However, we can always feel and think more or differently, don't we? Instead of fly or moth or midget, he caught a leaf. No food for him. He thought, is that a sign or something? The leaf thought, is he loving me? But hungry spider kept on weaving, with clear hope to eat and be the killer of all pests that's flying, the pest control in house and garden, the best of cleaners of the earth. He loved the leaf, but not for dinner, and not for lunch or his last supper. The leaf thought, he's nice to me, and I enjoy to swing out here. I'll wait for him to tell me stories, to tell me all before my fall. The life is good, and life is bad. The life is happy, and life is sad. Let things to be, let things to go, and love, and live, and let it go. And don't believe the lies they say. Look out for real things right now, and they will come, my friend, my love. All miracles are real now. Stop before the finish line. Stop to celebrate the life. Celebrate your heart still beating. Celebrate the love you're feeling. Celebrate the morning sky and the spring so close on way. Stop and listen to the birds. They have message just for you. Stop at once and look around. Smell the roses, kiss goodbye. Kiss goodbye before you go. It's a late evening, and all the twilight weirdos suddenly come out on streets. I love the old town All the historical buildings and cobblestones and stained glass windows and scruffy vintage signs. Well, do not look at all the weirdos, I tell myself. Certainly no eye contact. My mum would be proud of me in her leather shoes and silk stockings. Just watch the seam, it must be straight, and do not forget your lipstick. It must be on your lips, not just chucked in your pocket. Actually, it should not be in your pocket, but in your purse and on your lips, of course. Oh, look at him. He substitutes his hair loss with unkempt beard and moustache. But he can't beat his friend's moustache. It's like something from Caucasus Mountains. The fair hat as well. I'm just wondering, where did he leave his horse? In a graveyard? Or what? Okay, me. Head up and aim for your favorite cafe while it's still open. By the way, I'm glad I have my kitchen knife with me, just in case. I love Twilight Hour.
Hi, my name is Phil Knight and I'm a poet from Neath in Wales. There's a couple of poems. The first is called How to Bake Wales. First valleys of joy, then towns of sorrow, and add all the rain you can buy, beg or borrow. Give it hard history and Mabinogion tales, and out of this mixture you can bake Wales. Drop in centuries of hope and some days of grief, plenty of salted butter and sweet barabrith. You need seconds of sun, but hours of gales. From these ingredients you can bake Wales of grass that's green, with a sky of white, and a fire-red dragon with a wrong to right. Of an ancient tongue that never fades or pales, bring to molten heat, and you can bake Wales. Stir in harmonious singers and a few Bolshevik bards, until they are fevered dreams stacked in a house of cards. Pour on clear Brecon water and brain's best ales. From these molten parts you can bake Wales, a land of legend old, in story of defeat but boundless glory. Steel cities and beautiful vales, this is how you bake Wales. And now a poem about my late father, Rooms. So rooms of rubble my father moved, parents or teachers did not approve. A sundered street, a child's plaything, of the ruined towns did Dylan sing. Through rooms of jungle my father run, with a best friend, a submachine gun. Miss Malade, an emergency, it was war. Rubber barons, bullets and bandits my father saw. Through rooms of steel my father strode. Britain was on the white dot road. Revolution in a molten heat. Unions ascendant and bosses retreat. Through rooms of air my father flew. From his crane the wreckers view. A final birth in the giant's grave. Ships from India or the home of the brave. Through rooms of film my father stood, retailing dreams for a livelihood, and this unreality he did weave, with silver nitrate on his sleeve. Through rooms of history my father strolled, Celts, Romans, or anything old, cathedral catching as its charms, all of Wales was in his arms. Through rooms of ether my father stumbled, a proud man finally humbled. The circle closed, the end came soon. He awaits me now in the next room.
Hi, I'm Irene Stuart, a Liverpool-born playwright, poet and short storyteller. I've been writing for about 10 years now, and I found it difficult to pick out just 3 poems to read today, as I've written so many. The 3 I have chosen hold a special place in my heart. My first poem is called World War One Remembered and was written in 2017 for the 100th anniversary of the end of the First World War. World War One Remembered. They stand in line looking neither left nor right, young boys tall and straight going off to fight. Excited, nervous, never left home, lived with family, never been alone, never strayed far from village or town, going off to war for king and crown. Been given the king's shilling, an honour they are told, a pal's battalion, strong and bold. They wait with bated breath as the crowds whoop and cheer. Give those Germans what for, there's nothing to fear. The drum major indicates, let's strike up the band, to be soldiers in a foreign land. Don't worry lads, you'll be home before long. It will be over by Christmas, as they burst into song. Chests burst with pride as they march to the tune. Pack up your troubles, see you again soon. But behind the facade there is anxiety. What war will bring is a mystery. What lies ahead nobody knows. Who will survive the onslaught from the foe? Who will die in battle, suffer in body and mind, sacrifice their life for the future of mankind? If only they had known what lay ahead. If only they knew how many would soon lie dead. Kitchener has declared your country needs you. The boys rallied to the call, let's show the Hun who's who. Comrades in arms, they laugh and joke en route. Issued with rifles, they have learned how to shoot. No longer at rabbits and foxes, but at the enemy. Young boys also, an example of war's futility. But how many will return, no longer boys but men? Some will die on the field and not see Blighty ever again. 100 years on, we salute those who died, and those maimed and injured, we remember them with pride. We remember those boys looking neither left nor right, as they stood tall and straight, going off to fight. For king and countries their life they gave, for peace for future generations they went to their grave. But peace has not yet come, yes for some but not all. Was their death in vain? For nothing did they fall. Was it all senseless? Has the world taken no heed of the death of those boys to fulfil a minority greed? As we teeter on, war never far away, we must always remember the fallen who never lived to fight another day. Thank you, I hope you liked that one. Very sad, but very true, as we remember those young boys who were marching off to war, not knowing at all what lay ahead. My second poem is called It Is Coming, and it's a poem reflecting on the darkness of mental illness. A dear relative of mine recently suffered with mental stress, and it affected the whole family, and this is my interpretation of that darkness which follows those who suffer from mental illness. Inhibition thrown to the wind, she races into the sea, born to skinny dip. The ice-cold water takes her by surprise, takes no prisoners. No matter, she swims for her life, she is free. She is a mermaid, a siren calling to the sailors. She swims until her body aches, a delicious ache. She is alive, her mind is clear. She is free, free until it arrives. She knows it is coming. She floats on her stomach, her back, thinks of nothing, no one. Relief, exhilaration, freedom. She sighs. Cold seeps into her pores. Time to return to shore. Just a few more minutes, please, just a few more minutes. Soon it will be upon her. She can sense it, taste it, almost touch it. Is that the sound of it coming? She floats, patiently waiting. A voice pleads, rising above the waves, heard by no one. Just a few more minutes of freedom. Freedom before normality slips away, creeping noiselessly, wearing slippers of fire. slowly disappearing until finally nothing, a minuscule blot on the horizon. She cannot keep it at bay for much longer. She has tried, she has done her best. There is no hiding place, no escape. She has tried many times, it always finds her. It will envelop her in its darkness, once more dragging her further and further down into the dungeon of her mind, the depths of despair. She hears the rattling of the chains. Senses on high alert, she perceives its closeness. It holds the power. Like a baby bird, she will be cruelly crushed in the palm of its hand. Paralysed to resist, it will dictate her every thought, her every move, her very existence. She will be overcome. It will arrive in all its glory, majestic, king of kings, expecting, nay, demanding her to bow in its wake. How she abhors it, its masculinity, its tyrannical stance, its very being. The sea is calm, it calls to her, whispering lovingly, "Stay with me. You are a mermaid, a siren. I am your escape. I am your freedom. Come to me." Sitting, arms around her knees, sand between her toes, she shivers and waits in anticipation, accepting of her fate. It won't be long. She senses its presence, feels its touch. She stands and watches as the sun sets, looking longingly towards the water, torn. She turns, it smiles knowingly, mocking her. One last glance at the sea. She is defeated, she is vanquished. Silently they walk hand in hand into the beckoning abyss. Thank you. As I said, that is my thoughts on mental illness. My third and final poem is called The Colour Purple and describes domestic abuse. She waits, fear, clock ticks, captive, invisible chains, heart pounds, stomach churns. Key in door, clock ticks, anticipation, he appears, smiling assassin. Purple dress, clock ticks, lasciviously licking lips, indicates she twirl. She shivers, clock ticks, terror, trepidation, control, power, man. He paws, grunts, clock ticks, takes herself outside herself, where unicorns dwell. Lust sated, clock ticks, stained dress, expectation, menacing, fists clenched. Punch, slap, stars, clock ticks, hands around neck, cannot breathe, voice unheard, blackness. Battered, dazed, clock ticks, purple dress, purple bruises, lays in silent pain. Child cries out, clock ticks, soothes, holds tight, kisses gently, body hurts, heart breaks, lies to friends, clock ticks, purple bruises, door ajar, knowing glances, shame. Packs her case, clock ticks, must leave quickly, holds child close, escape, freedom, life. Thank you, and that's my 3 poems. I hope you've enjoyed them. Thank you, and goodbye.
Prior to the pandemic, I'd been attending a writers' group every Wednesday morning with the WEA in West Yorkshire for over 2 years, and then obviously that stopped due to lockdown. And I was actually lucky enough to meet one of my idols, Pam Ayres, at the Ilkley Literary Festival in 2019. And I actually told her that I wanted to write poetry like hers, and I said, obviously, I would never be as good as you. And she said to me, never say that. She says, tell people that you're equal, if not better, than Pam Ayres. I thought, yeah, that is a great thing to say. But also, she gave me lots of great advice, and she just said, get out there, perform your poems, as much as you can. So I did. I went out and I started doing live performances, but unfortunately, after 2 live performances, lockdown hit. So what happened then was that I started sort of looking at Zoom performances. And even though they're not obviously as good as being in front of a live audience, I think it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it. And unfortunately, like a lot of people, I lost my job during the pandemic, and I think a combination of that, and I actually turned 50 in the first lockdown. I think the combination of those 2 things inspired me to want to take my writing, to the next level, really, and take it a little bit more seriously and just go for it and do what I've always wanted to do. So I wrote a number of monologues that were performed by actors, and they're on YouTube. And like I say, I appeared in quite a few different comedy Zoom shows with my poetry, and they all seemed to go down well. Then I started looking for various courses. I did some sitcom writing courses online. And then last August, this advert popped up out of nowhere on my social media, and it was an advert for a master's degree in comedy writing. And not thinking that I would ever be good enough to get on such a course, I applied anyway. I thought I'll go for it, and I got accepted, and now I've just completed my 2nd term. I've also been inspired to write my first book, and the book is called Tales of a Pandemic, From a Couch Potato and Friends. And a lot of the poems that you will hear today are in that book. And it's basically over 70 poems and short stories, all humorous, about the life in the pandemic from 44 different writers. And it's all going to be raising money for people who have been affected by the effects of COVID. And that is going to be available to buy mid-May, so keep an eye out for that on Amazon. And it's like a time capsule of the last year, really. Looking at how we've coped with certain situations and, got through all the sadness and struggles, but in a humorous way. And if you want to find out more about that, you can look on my website, www.couchpotatobooks.co.uk. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy my poems. Thank you. So this first poem was one that I wrote literally 10 days into the first lockdown, and for any parents out there, they will appreciate this because at the time, obviously, homeschooling was a new thing, and it was one of those you'd look on social media and you saw other parents doing amazing things, and you just felt really guilty for not being as good as the other parents and showing their achievements online. So to express how I felt and to show my, technique of homeschooling, I actually wrote this. Get out of bed, miss! It's noon, day 10 of this homeschooling lark, and I'm feeling rather guilty. Should a teacher still be laid in bed at her desk all warm and quilty? Whilst others are up at 7 a.m, having exercised by 9:30, I've slept through it all, my last wash, can't recall, and I'm starting to smell and look dirty. But what kind of teacher would I want to be? I should try, be a bit more inspiring. Like Dead Poets Society's Mr. Keating, using poetry to keep minds inquiring. Or perhaps I should run a wicked regime, like the brutal and vicious Miss Trunchbull, and make them gorge on chocolate cake as I cackle when they struggle with each mouthful. I'd definitely be more of an Edna, I think, better known as Mrs. Krabappel. using sarcasm and wit and drinking on the job, teaching maths with a gin and pineapple. There's fortnight battles to be fought, sibling rivalries getting fraught. But at 2:30, despite all that fuss, I decide to make a start. I'm in it, soul and heart, and read through all the work school has sent us. Use conjunctions to express time, place and cause, and nouns and verbs should feature. I was totally confused as the clock struck 3, which means now we can break up for Easter. As we all know, many different heroes have emerged in this pandemic, from nurses to bin men, delivery drivers to Joe Wicks. And obviously, we appreciated every single one of them. But there's some lesser known heroes that didn't get very much praise or very much recognition, didn't even get clapped. So today, we're going to change all that. And here is a poem simply entitled, Let's Give Clap to the Lesser Known Heroes. I'm sat here on my sofa from DFS. The kids have gone feral and the house, it's a mess. But there's one thing I know and I must confess. When Boris asked me to stay at home, my answer would be yes. 'Cause I'm a hero, I'm a hero. I'm a mother flipping stay-at-home hero. If they asked me to return to work, my answer would be nah. I like sitting here in my slippers with no bra, just listening out for the delivery driver's car. My daily weight gain is of a chuffing chihuahua, 'cause I'm a hero. I'm a hero. I sit on my arse and do zero. The only exercise I get is taking out the bin. The day ain't complete without a double pink gin. It's important work working on your double chin and doing a Zoom quiz with your best friend Lynn, 'cause I'm a hero. I'm a hero. Baking cakes with self-raising Biro. Watching all the films with De Niro, 'cause I'm a mother flipping stay-at-home hero. This next piece was inspired by missing my friends, really, we were all locked down and we were all missing everybody that we normally go out with on a weekend or we normally meet up with for a coffee. So this piece was inspired by what would be the perfect day out with your friend if you could go on a date with your friend. And it's called My Perfect Mate Date by Tina Firthlock. What would be your perfect date? Mine would be a Saturday with me mate. There'd be no worries, no dilemma, 'cause I'd call upon my best mate. Her name is Emma. We'd meet at Byron Bay for brunch. Then Bora Bora for late lunch. Drink a cocktail or 2, 3, 4. And then we'd drink a couple more. Then go for a kebab. Vegan kebab for Emma. And whilst we sup on liquids green, the biggest bowl you'd ever seen, brimming with pickled onion space raiders, we'd nibble whilst playing Space Invaders. I always win. We'd chat about the things we'd seen, laughing at celebs in Heat magazine, no whinging kids or nagging spouse. We'd sing and laugh and talk in scouse. Can I have a daiquiri, please? Then dream about that Colin Firth and wonder if he's down to earth. We'd eat chocolate frogs on the Hogwarts Express, then dance with Krista Burr in a bright red dress, cheek to cheek. I'd eat Nutella and French fancies, smell the coffee, pick the pansies, then it's off to bed, 'cause I have a hunch I'll dream about my Sunday lunch. Extra Yorkshires, please. This final poem was inspired by the great Marcus Rashford. Now, coming from a family of Leeds United supporters, I never thought I would say that. But he's come to the rescue quite a few times for vulnerable parents out there that needed support. And he's rang up Boris and said, come on, help to support these children. So this is inspired by Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford would not be happy with this. Today, I was a happy camper after being offered a free food hamper. Maybe Fortnum and Mason, or Harrods, or Glamper. Was it chuff? It was a friggin' potato hamper. An Irish bath bomb, a tatty, a spud, maybe once a week, is nutritious and good. Being grateful, appreciative, how could I say no to the hamper full of the humble tato? However, what came with it was a shock, a surprise. No salad, no veg, no goodness supplied. Decanted tuna, cheese and beans didn't make me cackle. It was the 2 manky buns and the single red apple. I've got to be grateful, 'cause it's free, you see. 'Cause I lost my business due to COVID-19. And I need some support and get free school dinners. But manky buns and an apple don't make us feel like winners. This next piece was written for Valentine's Day this year. And it's written in the form of a rap, and it was inspired by different friends of mine that were looking for love in lockdown. And this piece is called Corona Dating Rap by Tina Firthlock. I think you'll all agree it's so much harder to meet someone these days, especially as we can't get within 2 metres of them. You see, the clubs are all shut, so there's no meat market. Not even one pub open. Don't get me started. The bars are shut, cafes and the coffee shop. I'm eyeing up the fellas in me local co-op. There's one place to look, actually, and that's Tinder. I might meet Mr. Darcy like my neighbour did, Linda. She met a nice guy on there. He was pretty hot. He came from Selby and his name was Scott. They stayed up all night. All they did was chatter, dreaming of a future, discussing things that matter. Their love story was like a rom-com plot, and he even told Linda that he had a yacht, but turns out he was lying. He owned diddly squat. There'll be no trip to Vegas for their marriage gunshot. Rich man or a wally? He was the latter. All he could afford was a sausage in batter. Oh, who am I kidding? The little gits. I can't waste me time on lying little nits. I'll say goodbye to love. I'll see you later. I won't be coming back like a friggin' Terminator. Delete the profile. Can't take the flack. I will not be saying, I'll be back. The inspiration for this next one was because I was watching far too much news in the first lockdown, and particularly I was watching the daily briefings from Downing Street every single day, and obviously listening to the experts giving us the lowdown, and then it suddenly stopped. So I wrote this in response, and it's simply entitled No One Told Me They'd Cancelled the Daily Briefing by Tina Firthlock. So, now that the press conference has stopped, it's a pity. Now where will I get me daily dose of Chris Whitty? He might not be handsome, and he certainly ain't pretty, but he knows his stuff about all the nitty-gritty. Not one person told me it had come to an end. Then wham, bam, thank you, Professor Van Tam. It was over, my friend. I'm going to miss the questions from the public end, with a daily retort as they condescend. What an excellent question there from Maureen from Southend. It's really important for you to know when you can get back to dogging with your friend. The patronising condescension drove me round the bend, and they defended their rule breakers to the bitter end. And even though most days my belief was suspended, I'm really, really sad now that the briefings have ended. And even though Cummins should have defo got the sack, Patrick, Chris and Boris will keep on popping back.
Hello, my name's Helen Jones and I'm just going to read out a few poems as part of this Make It Heard programme. I write poetry quite a lot, but I haven't written any poems for at least a year now, so what you're going to hear now are some older poems. I had written some newer ones, but I've left them on my computer at work, and silly me, forgot to forward them onto my home email address, and that's a big problem because I've left work now and my all those files are lost forever, but never mind, I can write some more. So these are probably ones you might have heard before, so I apologise in advance. I do love writing poetry because I just like to do a lot of free-form writing, and generally they end up rhyming a bit, so that's what my poems are really. They're just my mind spilling onto the page, and generally speaking I don't really edit them much, if at all. So this first one is about my childhood, and it's called Allotted. Mother detested my pontiferous ponderings, my voluble vociferous of ninja words. I was an itsy-bitsy paper girl in ashes, seen, never to be heard. Soundless, sulking, cardboard cut-out mother with firecracker fuse, scratched my albums with deliberation. I was like no other, a novelty for family to amuse. The announcement that I was a broken child, a chicken pathe newsreel, in 1950s black and white. She is feral, wild, they solemnly revealed. Creativity crucified in ink-red crosses. See me after the lesson, lass. Spilling fountain pen fingers stained with venom, paper aeroplane tosses put me to the bottom of the class. Then a day out I completely spoiled, broken seashell dust on the floor. I spoke my mind in rambunctious torrents, realisation I was perceived abhorrent. You will accompany us no more. Well, Boland says that life's a gas, so you can kiss my punky gothy ass. I poured my mind into a double-sided shot glass. Sanctuary found in a discovered shed. Smell of turps and lost arachnid legs. Like angular twigs in the tangled webs. Boiled sugar barley kisses. Barely alive, calagas flame hisses. Hot orange juice in beak at heat. A hideout from life to a potted garden shed. Hums from a distant street. The ninja word screamed on a planked-up makeshift seat. A pencil stub scratched in the wooden camphor haven where I hatched. I remember that shed where my heart was bled, and I poured my words out from an empty, colourful head. Well, my next poem is called Bombed Out on Bowl Street. Another cheery rhyme for you. I found myself up a one-way street, in a haze unthinking, tears indiscreet. Mascara cut rivers with a brain off the latch. I fall free, shallow drown, I am detached. In a crowd alone, the shop mirror reflects a horror face, a fall from grace, no special effects. I'm struck blind, I soon find the horizons are far away, in the quicksand sinking, lost is the day. It's so surreal I kind of feel there's a tide unturned, so I light a match to a mind that's hacked, once bitten, twice burned. It illuminates the board, the score displays 1-0. I weave the crowd, a brain in a shroud of the torrential hill. I'm lost, bombed out on Bowl Street, then the shrapnel hits. Life's a fur-lined ocean-going meltdown, a bloody ballroom blitz. There's a human cost in deep trenches lost, a ridiculous self, on a far too comfortable, dusty shelf. It rains hard, there's a busker strumming, so I fall to ground. The guitar man's humming an ironic tune in a mushroom cloud. It's Alanis Morissette, so I throw a pound. Life's a cabaret, it finds a way, the steps aren't set. So I'll get redacted, tune out the radioactive, half-life in decay. So this next poem is about Facebook. I wrote this quite a number of years ago now. I'll read it out now for you. We are the product, that is the deal with the devil we made, so it's revealed. We inhabit the hell of scrolling habits under the sharing spell, as our time is procrastinated into voids. We post virtuous signals with intent to impress with no human voice. Only stress must avoid the self-selected bias and fake news follows me home. My own words hollow, updates of status. An alcohol post too late to regret, shock screenshot shared to gossiping workmates, indiscretions repeated. To selected audience, with intent to alienate friend, now deleted. Try to forget the hive mind of the theatre of hatred, where like lists are loculated into categories for analytically, statistically significant trends. Where advertising targets in a mass mediocre uprising against the malevolent. We are warriors in supermarkets demonstrating benevolence, seen all through filter-perfect, widened-eyed images, perfectly framed. Expressions of need me, but behind the mask they snipe to cut you down. Heed me, resist the meld fusion, opinion fissions, as the weakest fall. Hide the shame of indiscretion. The watchers are silent in hand-rubbed contentment, see all and say nothing in whispers of resentment. In playground corners and virtual tribes, scrolling thumbs to painful blisters, we roll down the vulnerable for voyeur entertainment. Anxiety grows behind the timeline I hide. Drowning in the shallow, I fall before you, soma addicted. Blockchains are unbroken, as I predicted. So I have been having a go at writing a couple of sonnets with not much great success, unfortunately. But this is one of them. Don't judge me, please. And it was because I was having acting lessons and we were studying Shakespeare. So this is my sonnet. The context of this is that somebody had drawn a picture of me and put it on Facebook without particularly warning me or asking me first, and it was based on a photo I'd posted a long time earlier, and I forgot all about it, didn't delete it, and it was a selfie of me on the beach after a horrible night shift on the intensive care unit, and but when he put his picture up, obviously that just looked like I was just a grumpy old cow, out of context, but still. This is the fun sonnet based around that story. Hath eye but seen the sketch of storm-streak face, in near tone drawn in faith to my form here? I sway, drift blind, the shift sands drift my place. My trail of thought of life and death are clear. Post haste on your time, eyes are closed, you failed to see. That soft touch care, they were my thoughts, our deeds. I fall down, taint their page, what gall hath he? Drawn cross and hard a face, not one to meet. His art hath not my mind nor scheme of thought. So bleak and cold of heart fixed here, I'm judged. A book of face of place thread lives are bought and sold. They drown a place not purged. To my face pleased with me, so shall we speak. My touch, my thoughts are real beyond the geek. Thank you. And yeah, it was a bit of fun, that, really. It was nice to have my picture drawn after all, when all's said and done. This one is another one about growing up, and this is called Generation X. Talking about my generation, the career officer inquired, "Nurse, teacher, secretary, what's your aspiration?" "To be an artist, I want to get hired." Too ambitious was the pernicious drill, death to motivation, an upward hill. Opportunity to learn was a book between three. A bus to the library, with pages torn out and 3 channels on TV. There was no remote hell of a chance I could ever self-promote. I meant me. The phone was in the kitchen. There was no social media contacts, it was face-to-face bitching. Adult aspirations were all very swish, with a bottle of Blue Nun and a fondue dish, chicken in a basket and a cabaret, while I snuck a swig of gin from their corner cabinet. Talking about my generation, the one before was on strike on a 3-day week, not finding work on a bike. The dead were left unburied, with the trash uncollected. Back in the DHSS, they said, "You have not been selected." Great Britain plc was run aground as politicians sold England by the pound. Flying pickets, walkouts, shouts of scab. If I'm not mistaken, we'd all been had. No exaggeration, read the facts. 30% inflation, sky limit income tax, energy crisis, percentage rate. Unemployment sealed the fate of my generation at the non-starter's gate. A great British brain robbery was underway, a heist of biblical proportions, an exodus to the USA. So I traded my national health glasses for X-ray specs, a holiday in Cambodia, and became Generation X. God save the Queen, no future spoke to me. With torn stockings, a black PVC dress, a sight to see. As riots hit the streets in the kick-off zone, we were shot by both sides with a smoking Sex Pistol gun. Piggy in the middle ate, politicians disowned. A self-fulfilling prophecy, or join the unemployed. Drawing social insecurity, life was devoid of upward mobility, university a dream. So nurse training, parties, Torville and Dean, while Capitol Hill bullies got the best for the few, and yuppies, bright young things and Sloane Rangers had Filofax and a skyscraper with a view. Lending, borrowing with no sacrifice, like no tomorrow, except for Black Friday, Manic Monday and another financial heist, with Dow Jones Hang Seng profits sliced. From bulls to bears, futures unforeseen, commodities falling in a burst bubble dream. Talking about my generation, X is the word. Expelled, excommunicated, the shell-suited herd. Recession, depression, 96 tabloid slurs. 16% mortgage rate and no right move. Low wages, high inflation, properly screwed. Well, that concludes my poems for this evening. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you had a wonderful time listening to all that depressing material. Thank you very much again, and good night.
Hi, my name is Ankur Bakshi. I'm 28 years old, and I am a language teacher by profession. I also write short stories, and in the making of creating a YouTube channel based on the same. Recently I have started writing short stories. Most of my short stories are about spirituality and positivity, but some of my stories are really critical, and at times I feel that someone who might be reading it would feel like I'm really cynical about everything. but that's not true. I just want to reflect what I see, or whatever I could perceive in my very short understanding. About the poems, the first poem is just about moving on in life and not to seek someone who's gone maybe a long time ago or just recently, but not to find them in your memories, but try to seek them throughout in the real world, not just in your mind, in your head. The second poem is more about the conditioning, the social constructive mind we have, that we have derived from the society. We do as the society dictates, the group dictates, or maybe not let the individual follows what he really wants to. So this is what I perceived as sheep following sheep and yet reaching nowhere, because they're just falling. They don't really want to do something that they really feel.
Stop the rain when the clouds clear. Shall you find me close, a bit more near? A mist, would I be a ghost from the past? Embrace me, would you still fear? Blame not the moving sands of time. Dwell what in it seizes a day. Let I go, find solace, my dear. Unpaint my picture, set my ghost disappear. The splendid world awaits you, not I. Unearthed I can't be. Be not sad, do not cry. Find you love, love, if you can. I'm up all above. Look, the beautiful sky. What we lost is not lost. What we gain still remains. See the rose on my grave, tender and red. Seek me in it and beyond, but not in your head.
Stay present and live your damn life. Be happy. Merely don't just survive. Become not a dead stone like the whole world. Sheep following sheep, yet reaching nowhere. Be not the leader. There is no pride. Men of filth, can a leader only thrive? You be you and live your damn life. Let go of was and release the free will. Yes, you. Can you live your damn life? Happy tomorrow I will. Let today I die. Knows who if tomorrow ever comes? Yesterday's tomorrow still is unpleasant. No, I don't. Never will I live my damn life. Sheep I am, sheep I was, will always be a sheep. Happy may I never become, so I follow. Stand a chance, maybe a day I succeed.
Hello, I'm Julie Street, a young, middle-aged, emerging poet currently living in Lincolnshire. Now, the snug of autumn's eve. Well, if I recall, I was sat comfortably in my recliner chair at the time. There was a hint of coolness in the evening air, and I recall feeling blessed and relaxed with a choice of books to read. Just seeing them reminded me of my own goals to write and be published. I wanted to express the texture of soft coolness against abstract ideas of hard effort. A strange combination, but I played with it and I'm quite pleased with the result. Making her mark. Quite a contemplative piece. This reflects a not so easy journey through my life. It's about an internal battle of gaining self-belief and the unspoken or unshared turmoils of breaking out of one's shell before life is over. I hope to make a small difference to the world, leaving something of literary value, even if only to a few. By revealing my own truth, I felt others may find hope and self-understanding. And it was quite a difficult one to write, but somehow, I don't know, it felt important, so it had to be done.
It's my privilege to read The Snug of Autumn's Eve by Julie Street. Oh, to be wrapped within a cosy corner, bending phrases to my will, so still, with passion burning in my chest, at rest on cushions plumped and velvet soft, hard pencil held in writing hand, and quiet words that jostle in my head, or loudly whispered echoes that tango in my ears. No fear of losing time nor rhyme, or sat with book in nook of solitude, an interlude between that stifling mayhem of the outside world. A cosy corner clad in shelves and subdued light that bounces from old volumes with bright ideas for books to write or read anew in candle glow, till darkness fades the page and I must go. Close open books, put pen aside, and look towards instead the sheets that wrap me, warm and snug, within my bed. Making Her Marks by Julie Street. Read by Sarah Ann Hassel. She sketched lines on people's faces, drew smiles, pulled tears unseen from reading eyes, dug in her heels when feet were firm and comments firmer. She created sighs and sounds of mild approval, amusement evident from laughs. Her whispers passed through aging pages, woven from first till last by ink, her cries, her woes, and happiness. She planted seeds and glances, shooting from an aching heart, no more romances, having loved but lost, alone, her random thoughts left festering or sprouting. On treadless boards her stage she waited, in the wings too shy to speak, unspoken words of all she thought in flight, some still wet upon a page, as perspiration dripped to stain the waiting floor. She'd etched initials in cliff walls, caressed each stretch mark, silver on her belly, filled her fingernails with grass and dirt to find the words that she could feel. She'd searched on country walks and gulped in seaside air to fill her lungs, inhale with authentic poet's flair, and burned her nights in fantasizing, writing, scheming, then lucid dreaming of her book. She looks at time, sole witness to her many lines, and making marks, however small, she feels, believes she can make others smile, or maybe cry. Write more, much more she will before she leaves this world to die, where words, like memories, are still engraved within her mind.
You've been listening to Poets Corner for Make It Heard with music by Jack Myers.